Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman. We're talking Main Street. The small business lenders help it grow. Lance, good to see you. Hope you had a nice Easter. Katie, you survived the in-laws, I assume.
And it all turned out good. We had great dinner.
Right. No fires in the kitchens. Great.
No.
Guest panelist, Jeff Shear. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Jeff is an attorney in New York State, deals with small business. But Jeff, you've made a niche for yourself. You've become an expert on these procedural notices, and you write. Tell me who you write for, and what is. We write what we like. Why do you like this topic?
So, my practice is representing small, mid-sized businesses, everything from startup through succession. And when the pandemic hit last year and the CARES Act was passed, I really thought to myself, or when it was being, tossed around the legislator, really thought to myself, what could we do for our clients that were really going to be hit hard by whatever may be coming, the economic uncertainty that we all talk about. And I dove right into the CARES Act and really all matters PPP that we're talking about, and really tried to make myself a resource for our clients so they could access these funds in a way that wasn't going to hurt them, that was going to help them, especially given the fact that these funds are forgivable. Trying to put them in a position where they could achieve forgiveness and really get through this economic uncertainty, as unscathed as possible.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. We have lenders on, small business lenders, PPP lenders. First question, I'm going to ask you, how long is the PPP funds going to last? We've heard everything from don't worry about it to I better get your money in because it's gone by mid-April.
I haven't heard too much. We've been in contact with some of our contacts at the SBA. I haven't heard too much in terms of run to your bank now. The extension through May 31. Actually through the end of June, but get your applications in by May 31. I think that really tells us that these funds are going to be available. The fact that there have been some additional directives and guidance from the SBA, as recently as a week or two ago, it's raised some eligibility questions for borrowers. Borrowers who are really new to the table. I think these monies are going to be available through that end of May date, but I wouldn't hesitate. I'm telling my clients to make their decision, get their applications in, talk to their bank, and make sure that they've got all their ducks in a row.
Well, thank you for joining us. It's going to be great to have your perspective, truly from the borrower perspective, so that'll be great. Hey, we like to ask poll questions. Let's get into it. Number one, does your lending institution address COVID-19 issues in your credit memos? Very good, Lance.
Yeah, there should be yes, no, I don't know, and Lance sure hopes so.
I love it. Very good. Very good. Katie, what did SBA tell us over the weekend?
Yeah, so on Friday they sent out, I think they're just slowly extending all the COVID-19 credit memo rules. Seems like they're trying to gear that down to probably to the end of the year. Right now it's to midsummer, but I think eventually they're going to extend it through the end of the year. In this particular case, it's till the end of the year. But then the 504 rules for COVID underwriting was just till the summer. So we're slowly extending all of those rules, but it is just extensions right now on everything you should already be doing.
And we'll talk about that real quick later. Number two, when did the changes on Form 159 take effect? Yes, there were changes. When did that hit? That hit Friday, I think, Katie, or
Friday,
Saturday?
Yeah.
So when did the changes take effect? I'll give you four options. Very good. Our people are on top of it, Lance.
Yeah, they're reading the attachments, or they read the releases last week, but April 5th is the correct date.
Good. And briefly, Lance, the form's not changing.
Nothing about who you collected on and how you complete the form has changed. The only thing that has changed is instead of submitting it to Coleman Services, we're now going to submit those through Capital Access Financial System when we're putting loans in. So the submission process has changed, but completing the compensation form and who we have to collect it on remains the same.
Well, I am now the one who went off script, so we can show the question. We won't collect the answers since we gave away the answers.
Oh,
That was on me. Usually it's on Lance.
yeah, it's always on me. So
Well, let's go. So go to the fourth poll question. SBA requires supporting documentation for 159 fees. On everything, fees over 2,500, fees over 1%. I don't know. Jeffrey, I'm going to let you take a stab at this one when the results come in. We'll see how our lenders. First of all, do you get involved in these type of transactions, Jeffrey?
Actually, no, good question. Don't get involved in this. I do have some SBA lenders I work with, but mostly on eligibility questions and not on the supporting documentation.
Well, eligibility, as we all know, I mean, that's rule number one. Lance, we did pretty well. Fees over $2,500, right, Katie?
well,
I actually don't know this one, so.
anytime fees are over $2,500, we have to have supporting documentation justifying the fees. So it's loans over 2,500. They did well. Or I'm sorry, fees over 2,500. They did well.
Define supporting documentation real quick, Lance.
Well, it depends on the type of agent, but there needs to be a breakdown of the amount of time they spent, what work they completed, what their normal hourly rate would be, and the total amount. It does not have to be a 25-page document. It could be a simple one-page document, outlining what work was done, how much time was spent, and what was charged.
Jeffrey, you would appreciate it. Lance and I have a little different view on this, but my attitude is lenders should charge what their paralegals charge them. That's my quick little answer.
I like that answer.
Well, there was a time when the supporting documentation was not required, and you could go up to $2,500 before you had to provide detail, and everybody charged $24.99.
That's right. Well, a certain banker in Arkansas charged $24.99.
Not this one, no.
Not that one. Lance, real quick, we're going to do, we just decided we're going to do a webinar on revisiting 159. But here are the quick changes. Anything, as you said, that we're more concerned about, that we're documenting it right and we're collecting it correctly. But
the process starts today. It's
right.
Again, who we collect it from, how we complete it. That's the same. The difference is how we submit it to SBA. We'll no longer be submitting those to Coleman Services, but we'll be submitting it through Cap Access Financial System. So I guess the only big change, Bob, is how we submit it and the process for submitting it.
I know we'll get the question, hey, we just got a 159 dated on Friday or Thursday. Do we need to get a new one?
If you collected a 159 prior to the 5th, I would assume you can do it the way you have. But I would just, it is not clear. And Bob, the challenge with that is it's not clear that you have to start doing it's this way. But the thing that clarifies it, Bob, is it says Coleman Services will no longer accept 159 submissions, which means irregardless of when you collected it, if you submit it today going forward, you're going to have to use the new process.
Before we get into the notice, Jeffrey, what articles are you working on? What subjects are you covering these days?
So right now there are a couple things I'm focused on. One is the updated rules for larger nonprofits and the accessibility of the PPP funds for those nonprofits that have less than if it's their first time around 500 employees per location. Other instances 300 second draw on a 300 per location. What that as I said before we all hopped on here, this is a great intentioned statute that was not probably written as well as it could have been.
No.
But there's a,
Went out on a limb on that one.
a little bit of a limb there, and there's a question I'm getting is what per location means, especially when you have employees that don't actually have a physical desk they go to every day and maybe working at someone's home and maybe on the road. So that's one thing that we're looking at because that could affect like large home healthcare agencies or something like that. So we're looking at issues about eligibility. We're probably going to put out a memo on larger nonprofits. And the other thing is, we're seeing a lot of issues on change of ownership right now, not necessarily because of asset or stock sale, but more, because of a death in the family change of ownership. End of the year, we had gifting issues. I do a lot of succession planning. We had change of ownership due to family gifting, both direct to individuals or to trusts. So that's another thing that we're starting to look at and make sure people are aware that if they're going to be, not if you're going to die, because really who knows that, but, planning for the what if scenarios of, transfer of your business, because, the longer this goes, we have people getting funds right now and you have a 24-week covered period. There are lots of businesses that are going to change hands in the next 24 weeks, so the next, during that covered period before achieving forgiveness, especially. So that's something that we're really taking a hard look at, making sure our clients know what to do.
Do you see hold codes situation resolving? Does that affect you?
It affects, a bit where I'm seeing a lot of, and I don't know if this is technically a hold code or not, where I'm seeing a lot of issues, a lot of the loans over $2 million. Seeing absolutely zero action right now. We have been told that a few have been forgiven. Those few are not my clients right now. I think a lot of my clients are waiting and wondering why and when. But we've been told we should start to see some action on that now that we're kind of over the hump of this second wave of loans. But we'll see what happens.
Any good advice to lenders when if they have a $2 million forgiveness app that they're putting together today on something that a secret tip that they should do? Any good advice for them?
Well, I think when I have borrowers that are looking at it, I tell my borrower to look at the loan necessity questionnaire and look at what you will have to answer after the covered period, which then gives them direction on shareholder distributions, capital improvements, things like that. I tell my not-for-profit borrowers that are larger, look at your endowment, look at your restricted, unrestricted funds. So I don't know if there's any secret sauce there, but I think you can actually look in your crystal ball a little bit and see what kind of what kind of questions you're going to have to answer at the end of the day.
Very good. Thank you. Katie, what did SBA tell us on what we need to include in the credit memo?
Yeah, so they've extended the 7A COVID-19 emergency credit memo guidelines through the end of the year, through December 31st. And these are all things you're probably already familiar with and working with. The first one is essentially just stating that if there's an adverse change, but the borrower is fully operational and has a plan to fix that adverse change, then you can still be dispersing loans for those. Of course, you have to really discuss with them, make sure they are prepared for that. But they are saying you can do that still.
Lance, what is your good definition of the adverse change?
Well, adverse change, there could be a lot of things that would be considered adverse change, such as the doors are closed. Could be
okay.
Could be they are defaulting on other debt. Could be a variety of things, but an adverse change is anything that has a negative impact on their cash flow and their long-term viability as a business would be considered adverse change. Litigation could be considered adverse change. Somebody might be suing the company, but...
By the way, this notice is attached in your dashboard. Number 2, Katie.
Yeah, the second one is saying if the borrower is partially operational, then the lender is going to have to determine if they can bring it, if they can really handle that and fix that adverse change. If they cannot fix it, then they really need to then switch their focus to getting that business fully operational.
Number 3.
The third one is if the borrower is not operational, and this is pretty clear here. It says you can't make a disbursement in that situation.
So if Lance's big adverse change where the doors are closed, don't be advancing funds. Unless, I guess you can advance funds to get them to reopen, Lance? Can we do that?
They're going to have a solid plan in place to make that a prudent servicing decision on the loan. But if they have a good plan in place to reopen the business, that's like this restaurant grant. I'm so anxious to see the guidelines on that, because one of the categories that really interests me are restaurants that may have closed during late 2020 or early 2021. Will the restaurant grant program allow funding to reopen those businesses?
Well, it's just said that, and I really want to know, if I'm the lender, what is the relationship between the lender and the landlord? Are they current? Are there forgiveness? Is there a new lease? I want to know what that is. Absolutely.
Well, and you make a great point, Bob. Many small businesses have been in a position because of the pandemic of not being able to pay rent, and landlords have stood by and supported them. But at some point, everybody's going to want to get paid. So, what impact?
A lot of localities, state of California, I know is what do they call it? What do they call it, Jeffrey? The foreclosure bomb is out there.
Yeah, we're going to see that up here in New York as well. And there's been a lot of everything's kind of on hold right now. We're going to see a lot of stuff happening, and when those handcuffs are taken off.
And we have let's see, what else? 4 and 5. Just take a look at. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just summarize it real quick. The number 4 is just saying in all cases, regardless of if the business is open or not, and the adverse change, you're going to be addressing whether you can get more funding available to the borrower, whether you can help them out of that situation and have a better chance. And then the last one there is just essentially considering whether they are going to be able to make payments after those 11-12 payments are over, and after all their aid is gone, whether they're going to still be able to make payments.
Bob, I think Jeff brought up something very interesting, talking about forgiveness on loan, PPP loans over $2 million, and say the borrower comes to you with a new request. That's going to kill cash flow on any new request because of the uncertainty of the forgiveness. So really look forward to SBA stepping up and working through the forgiveness process on some of those.
Yeah, I mean, we're waiting for a lot of stuff from SBA. Lance, real quick, what are you talking about tomorrow? Jeffrey, you sort of telegraphed it. You're doing your business acquisition webinar.
We're going to talk about how to properly underwrite a business acquisition loan, and Jeffrey's right on point, and we've talked about this. Tons of businesses are changing hands during the pandemic and continuing, and there's other reasons. We're seeing a lot of businesses for sale, and rightfully so, entrepreneurs stepping in and taking the opportunity to acquire those. So we're going to try to help you understand how to properly underwrite a business acquisition loan.
Jeffrey, I'm going to throw you a curveball. And what percentage, you probably don't know this, that's what I'm going to ask you. What percentage of SBA 7(a) loans go for change of ownership? Do you have a sense of that?
I'm going to throw out 25%.
Oh,
nailed it.
26%. Very good. Very good.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, very good. No, that's why it's very critical for lenders. It's an important niche, and the rules are complicated. We have PPPs. Can we assume them, et cetera, et cetera. So, Lance, I'm looking forward to that. Jeffrey, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it. Let's have you back. Loved your insight. Katie, welcome. Lance, good to see you all. Sign up for Lance's webinar. And thank you for joining us today for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great day.
Thank you.